We are live. Hello, everyone on Instagram. Just wanted to hop on here and give some reactions to Contender Series tonight. We had 5 fights and 2 contracts given out. So, kind of going through the card here. First up, we had the fight between Juan Puerta and Shang Jaffa. And I think I expected a lot more from Juan Puerta. I've known that he's been on the top of a lot of people's flyweight, uh, like best prospect in the world list, and so I expected a lot more from him. I don't know if he got a little bit gun shy, if he overestimated Shang, but he got the win. I personally would have given him the contract, but um, you know, basically just kind of off the strength of his resume. But I'm sure we'll see him back in there, or maybe even with Bellator. I guess Bellator doesn't really have a 125-pound division, so maybe if he goes back to Titan FC or wherever, he can get a win or two more, especially a finish, and he's right back in the UFC, and I think he could do great things in there. As far as Sean goes, I thought he looked good. He never was totally taken out of his element. I thought he gave a good account of himself. But just not, in a flyweight, you want someone that is fast, scrappy, hits hard. And, he just he doesn't have that flyweight ability to scramble. And I don't know if that's just because he's got a lot of miles on his tank, but yeah, not his night. So going on to the next one, what was that? That was the Jonas and the Kanan fight. So yeah, interesting fight. A lot of clinching, not the most exciting fight. But you had, of course, Jonas scoring the big knockout. I thought that Dana would maybe sign him, given he had been off so much. He's only had 2 fights in the last 5 years, and so maybe some ring rust, kind of trying to feel himself out a little bit. So I thought that maybe, again, Dana would give him the benefit of the doubt, as liberal as he's been with giving out contracts this year. I thought that he would sign him just on that finish alone, but again, another big prospect, has to go back to the regional circuit, and we'll see what they can do. And of course, the next fight with Cho Loon and with Arison Ferreira da Silva, great fight, really exciting fight. I thought before the event started, I thought if there's one Chinese guy that can get the W tonight, I was thinking it was going to be this one. Cho had way more fights than Arison, 7 or 8 more fights. But I just thought that he was going to be able to outstrike him, hit a little bit harder. And that was basically what happened. And, it seems like a lot of people were giving that fight to Cho. I'm sure if I went back and saw it, it'd be a little bit closer than I thought. I just thought, round 1, I gave that round to Cho because, it was really close, but Cho was the one that dropped him. And so I leaned slightly towards him. Round 2 was all Cho, just tagging Arison, with all types of strikes, body shots, head kicks, great, punches to the head. All around, just a really complete striking game from Cho. And then in the third round, Arison kind of found his second wind, and I gave that round to him. But, again, with Cho, he's going to be back either as a late replacement or as, even just one more fight. He's right back in the mix, and I'm sure we'll see him in the UFC someday. Very, very smooth, very calm in the octagon, and loved what I saw from him. And then the next fight was the one that I was the most shocked by. I thought Justin Burlinson was going to go in there and eat Johan alive. I've watched some of Justin's Cage Warriors fights, and he he looks like a complete striker, just totally technical, smooth, great counter punches. I thought he was just going to have his way. Really surprised with that outcome. Johan, he put the pressure on him and he got the knockout. And he definitely deserved it, and happy to see him in the UFC, excited to see what he can do. And then the fight that just like, no one saw coming was this guy Mahashate, who just came out of nowhere. I was able to find some of his fights on Chinese social media and read a little bit about him. It sounds like he, had some really good boxing, but my senior editor Jeremy, he's friends with Achilles, and is really high on him, and said he's going to be the next big thing in the UFC. Again, maybe he just had a bad night. Maybe he probably wasn't able to find any tape on Mahashate, and maybe was really surprised with how hard he was to put away in that first round. But I had heard, anytime they're putting a guy that is 22 years old on the Contender Series, it's because there's some really good qualities. He may not be totally ready, but putting a guy that young on there, I wondered. I feel like those guys at the Shanghai PI, they know something that we don't. They've seen what this guy can do. And he's normally fought at 170 pounds, but they were able to get him down to 155, and you saw the massive size advantage. And I just thought, I think we're in for a good surprise. So congrats to Mahashate. Finally broke the streak that China has had. And, just a word on those Shanghai PI fighters. I know that they've gotten a little bit of crap from some people, and the PI's gotten a little bit of crap from some people for not, getting them the win. But I think that every single one of those fighters gave an amazing account for themselves. I mean, you think about every single fight. Think about Yan Qihui. Looked amazing until she got caught in that guillotine. Xie looked incredible, I scored the fight for him. He could have gotten the contract. All these other guys, Cholun potentially should have been signed and won the fight too. All these guys look so good, and I just know like the thing is with the exception of Shang Jifa, all of these guys are younger than 25 years old. All of them are, and so that. They've got a long future ahead of them. The great thing about so many of these great Chinese prospects is that they start really young. You have these gyms in places like Chengdu, Anguo that take these teenagers and kids and start teaching them mixed martial arts. So many of these fighters are learning Sanda from a really young age. And so by the time they're 18, they're going pro, and then they have this really long career ahead of them. So you're going to see more and more of these really young Chinese fighters. And, for the 5 fighters from the PI that didn't win this season, they're all going to go back to their gyms, potentially back to the PI. They're going to go back to the regional scene in China. They're going to be able to, look at the most glaring weaknesses and holes from their games. They're going to work with guys like Dean Amesinger, Gavin Pratt, guys that are doing amazing work over there. And they're going to be able to take this footage and see what their biggest needs are. This was kind of one of the big tests for the PI to see how they need to improve. So, I'm really looking forward to these guys. I think they've got a great future. And so, especially, I got my eyes on Yan Qihui. I got my eyes on Cholun, especially. I can't remember the other one that competed. Apologies for leaving them out, but all these guys, Xie as well, I could see them all in the UFC with another win, or potentially if someone falls out. So nothing to be ashamed of for the Shanghai PI. They're doing great work over there. Excited to see who they throw at us next. I know there's even more great fighters that they're building over there. You know, it takes time to build a program. It takes time um, to bring someone up to that UFC level. And so a year, sometimes not enough. 2 years, not enough. You got to have some longevity, time to correct bad habits, form new good habits. So you know, they're doing great work over there. I'm excited for their future. So yeah, and with Chinese fighters coming up, we got Zhang Wei Li competing this Saturday. We've got who else do we have? Look at my schedule here. Okay, so it looks like the 13th. Oh, we've got Song Yadong on the 13th. So next week we've got him. And then the week after that, looks like we've got Sha Ilan is competing as well as Ari Jilang. So handful of Chinese fighters competing the next few weeks. We'll see how that goes. A couple more PI guys, both Sha and Ari Long are both in the PI. So thanks for hopping in. So just to let you know, this schedule that I'm looking at is one that I created. And then you can get access to that as well as a ginormous spreadsheet that I created with all of the rosters of UFC, Bellator, Invicta, PFL, One, as well as a spreadsheet of every Chinese fighter that's fought in like the last year or two. And it's got, you know, info like, you know, when they're fighting next and injuries, all this stuff. And you can access that and lots of other things. There's a link in my bio on Instagram. So I'll just give a short plug for that. And you can get a first week of that schedule sent to your email for free. So thanks for tuning in. And until next time, enjoy the fights this weekend.